The Magic Candy Box Adventure. Once upon a time, in a little town by the sea, there was a boy named Max who loved candy more than anything in the world. One windy afternoon, Max found himself exploring the attic of his house. The attic was a mysterious place, full of dusty old boxes, creaky floors, and the smell of things forgotten. But in the far corner, hidden under a big sheet, Max spotted a very unusual box. It was a small wooden box, painted in all the colors of the rainbow, with swirls and stars and a big golden lock on it. And right on top, in curly, magical letters, it read, "The Magic Candy Box, open with a smile." Max could hardly believe his eyes. "A magic candy box?" he whispered. His mouth watered at the thought of what it might hold. There was no key, but remembering the message, Max gave the box his biggest, silliest smile. Suddenly, the golden lock popped open with a loud click, and the lid creaked open all by itself. Inside, there was a glittering pile of candy, like none Max had ever seen. There were tiny stars made of caramel, lollipops as big as plates, and jelly beans that sparkled like jewels. But the strangest candy of all was a single, swirly mint right in the middle of the box. It glowed softly, like a little moon. As soon as Max touched the glowing mint, the candy box began to shake. The candy inside the box jiggled and bounced, and before he knew it, the box started to grow bigger and bigger, until it was as big as a door. And then, Max fell in. He landed with a soft doof on a big, bouncy marshmallow floor. Max looked around, his eyes wide with wonder. He was in a world made entirely of candy. Trees with peppermint bark trunks and cotton candy leaves swayed in a gentle breeze. There were rivers of chocolate milk, hills of jelly beans, and mountains of whipped cream topped with cherry red summits. But the candy world wasn't empty. As he walked around, Max noticed tiny creatures peeking out from behind gumdrop bushes and licorice rocks. They were candy fairies, no bigger than his thumb, and they wore colorful wrappers as clothes. "Welcome, Max," said one of the fairies, who had a marshmallow dress and glittery wings made of sugar crystals. "I'm Taffy, the guardian of the magic candy box. We need your help." "My help?" Max asked, surprised. "With what?" Taffy pointed to the whipped cream mountain, where a huge, grumpy gummy bear was stomping around, causing the candy world to shake. "That's Gus the gummy bear," Taffy explained. "He's always grumpy because he's the only gummy bear here. We've tried to cheer him up with all sorts of candy, but nothing works." Max thought for a moment, then grinned. "I've got an idea. Follow me." Max found a giant licorice vine and tied it around his waist like a harness. Then he ran to a nearby field of jelly beans and started gathering all the green ones he could find, which happened to be Gus's favorite. "Hey, Gus!" Max called as he climbed the whipped cream mountain. "I've got something for you." Gus stopped stomping and squinted at Max. "What is it?" he rumbled, his voice thick and sticky. Max tossed the jelly beans to Gus, who immediately brightened up. "My favorites," he exclaimed, grabbing a handful and munching away happily. But Gus still looked a little sad. That's when Max had another idea. He pulled the glowing mint from his pocket, the one that had started the whole adventure. "Here, try this," he said, handing it to Gus. The moment Gus put the mint in his mouth, something magical happened. Gus started laughing, a deep, hearty laugh that shook the whole candy world in a good way. Then, with a pop, dozens of gummy bears appeared all around him, each one a different color. Gus's gummy friends cheered, and he looked happier than ever. Thank you, Max, said Taffy, beaming. You saved Candy World. Max spent the rest of the day playing with the candy fairies and the gummy bears. They had a chocolate river race, slid down the marshmallow mountains, and even had a giant candy feast where Max got to try every candy in the world. But finally, as the candy sun was setting over the whipped cream hills, Taffy came to him with a sad smile. It's time to go home, Max. But you can visit any time you want, just remember to open the box with a smile. With a wave, the candy world began to fade, and Max found himself back in his attic, the magic candy box back to its normal size. As he closed the box, he couldn't help but grin. He knew he'd be back to Candy World someday. After all, he had a magical box. And a really big smile.